It's time to get inside the Gamers Dome with your hosts, Scott Gerhardt. Bringing you all of today's gaming news and information all in one place. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Welcome to the Gamers Dome.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 16 of the Gamers Dome. I am your host, Scott Gerhardt, and we are going to be doing something a little bit different this week. We are going to be trying a little bit of the inside the Gamers Dome. So we're actually going to be doing a round table discussion for most of the show. So we have some people you've heard before and some people you've heard about before. So we're doing this alphabetical because I know A to Z. So we're going to start with Amber Mitchell. Hey, Amber, how's it going?
Hi.
Excellent.
Going fabulous.
So next after A, we have M. So we have Melissa Stern. Melissa, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thanks for joining us. I'm sure the listeners have heard about you before. Now they're actually getting to hear you.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Moving on to the P's, we have Pat. Pat, how you doing?
Not too bad. Do we get carrots with the peas?
Maybe. Maybe. Nah, actually, I don't like the carrots so much. So, and finally, into the S's, we have Shawn. Hey, Shawn, how's it going?
Web Monkey Extraordinaire signing in.
Excellent. If you are on the website right now listening to this, you can thank Shawn for that. He is the genius behind that, and frankly, a lot of other things. So,
Don't give him a complex. I mean, genius is pretty high up there, but I'm just saying.
Come on, geniuses work at the Apple Store, for crying out loud. They've completely degraded the name.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, but there is that fine line between genius and insanity, and I cross it on sort of a daily basis. So I could be considered genius, but usually insane.
I like insane.
yeah,
Insane makes the world go round.
Yeah, insane works pretty well on this show, I think. So, how has everyone's week been?
Fabulous.
Well, we have
I did jazz hands.
we have one fabulous.
Wow. Well, I just won nerd trivia at the brewery, so I'm happy.
Well, that's always good.
And I placed twice in 2 pre-releases over the weekend for Dragon Space.
Very nice. We're definitely going to be talking about that.
Okay, see, now all of a sudden my, awesome pool party weekend doesn't seem as cool when you guys have, actual accomplishments to go over.
Well, I don't know if they're actual accomplishments.
Well, it's more of a gamer accomplishment than, hanging out in a pool.
You know what? That sounds like a fun accomplishment.
Not that much of an accomplishment.
I don't have a pool to hang out at.
Neither do I.
That's why I use my friend's pools.
Got to come to Vegas for all the pool parties.
Right.
What? There's partying in Vegas? I wish there was a series of commercials that would tell me about that and then tell me not to talk about it afterwards. Anyway.
If Pat, Scott, or I were able to wear a 2-piece bikini at a pool, it would be an accomplishment.
Yeah, but
anyone wants to see that, though.
yeah, it might be a very necessary to censor accomplishment.
At pool parties I go to, it only has to be 1 piece. Just saying.
Fair enough. Top or bottom?
Oh, we're having a Harold and Kumar moment here.
Wow. So, since the listeners might be interested in how this show structure is going to go, should we tackle news first instead of just having fun talking to each other, which I kind of like having fun talking to each other, but we have so much news.
There is a ton of news, and we are actually going to go ahead and start in on that. So our first story for today is that apparently there has been a group out there that has claimed that they've been able to mod and hack the new Wii U.
This is a story I'm very skeptical about, just because they haven't. I mean, I understand Nintendo not wanting to give out too much information just to kind of poke the bear, but from the hackers that I know, I feel like there should be more information. Like, really, it's too vague. I think something else is going on. My conspiracy theory part of my brain is stirring.
Well, I think there's enough smart people out there that would know how to be able to do this, that given enough time, and there's definitely been enough time at this point, someone out there has probably figured this out at this point. Now they're just kind of going public with it now that they actually kind of know what they're doing.
Well, but as I read the story, they really haven't gone public with any of the information. I mean, they're just saying they did it and that there's these things. I mean, pretty much anybody could figure out that there's some form of a Linux system underneath their operating system. I mean, everything runs on Linux.
Yeah. So it's not current. It's currently unknown if Nintendo will actually be able to disable the device with a firmware update, or in subsequent model revisions, update the hardware multiple times, and they'll update it over. You know what? It's a new tongue. I'm just using it for the first time today. They'll be able to update the original Wii hardware multiple times over its lifespan to deter similar hacks. You're not going to deter hacks. Hackers are people who are bored and want to see what they can do.
Well, and not only that, but I'm sorry, Shawn, I talked over you. But not only that, but with hackers, it's like releasing more information is almost the better route to go, because when they feel like they're being oppressed or they're not getting recognition, then they might actually start hammering at it more. So, I don't know. I think Nintendo's response to this is maybe not the most correct one.
You know what? This is what happens with every single console out there. Somebody hacks it, and then the company goes back and updates the firmware, and then the new firmware gets hacked, and then they update the firmware again. I mean, it's a back and forth game. It's always going to happen. We're just on the hackers' side right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a fun little game to see played. So, I mean, I guess I do have to agree. I'd like to get a little more information, maybe some videos, maybe something out there that's kind of proving that this has happened.
Yeah.
So let's take a look here at the Portal designers. Now, Portal is certainly a game that is fairly near and dear to my heart. I've spent quite a few hours playing it. So the Portal designer Kim Swift and the team over at Airtight Games have announced Soulfjord, Fjord, a downloadable game due out exclusively on the Ouya. Is it Ouya? Is it Ouya?
Ouya, I believe so.
Thank you.
I think we've all agreed on Ouya finally.
So Julie Urban revealed in February that Swift and Airtight Games were working on an Ouya exclusive, though its name and details weren't divulged until just now.
And this game looks awesome.
Yeah, so does something like this? I mean, all of a sudden we're already looking at what's only a $99 system. Does something like this become obviously with a few other things, a reason to chunk down the $100 and buy an Ouya?
For me, yes. This game right here has confirmed it. I'm going to have one. I have to have one.
I love these type of games, like just simple hack and slash, cell shaded graphic type things. It's one of those games, a la Castle Crashers, that you pick up, you play for a day, you pick up and play for 4 hours, whatever it is, and you can put it down for a month, and you can go back to it and still have as much fun as you did before.
Well, and I love this, like, the whole setup of the game. Like, you're this badass metal guy who's like, I'm going to make my way up to Valhalla, bitches. And I love it. I love it so much. I can't wait to play it.
Well, not only that, but he's making his way up to Valhalla with 70s funk and soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking. The game looks cool, and it makes me very excited for the things that Ouya can actually do.
Yeah.
Okay, So Nintendo's getting into the refurb market here a little bit here. There's a thing now that they're selling refurbished portable games actually below what GameStop is selling them for. They've started selling refurbished 3DS and DSi XL portables through its online store, with offers beginning as low as $99 and scaling to $170 for the bundles. But notably in this is that their prices are as much as $30 below what GameStop charges.
Which means I might actually finally get a Nintendo DS 3D.
I love this. As a former employee of that G company, I love that Nintendo's getting in and just sticking it to them.
Yeah, it's a cool move.
Buy games for $30 less than GameStop as well, so you're gonna have to actually pay them to take your games.
It's neat to see the prices coming down. Though I can certainly, you know what, with a lot of Nintendo's earnings as of late, I can certainly kind of understand that they're grasping at ways of making money.
Well, I mean that's what keeps GameStop alive is their used games and systems. I mean, they pay a pittance and they sell for top dollar. So I mean the markup on used is sometimes 300%.
Yeah, no, and as a guy who used to own a game store, I did buying and selling of some video games as well. So I know the model, and I mean that's definitely where those companies make their money. It's not off new games; it's off the pre-owned.
Amber has the worst keyboard on the face of the planet. I have to throw this out there.
I know everyone can hear me typing. I even trimmed my nails.
Move your mic.
Okay.
My arms
So,
are short.
I'm going to mention this. I'm not going to pile on too much on this one. Oh, look, EA's cutting more jobs.
Shocking.
It's...
Isn't that weird?
You know, I have friends that work there at EA.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know you do, actually. And have you heard anything from them? I mean, there's been a lot of reductions as of late.
I haven't read anything. It's people from high school. I don't really talk to them too much anymore. I could definitely ask.
Yeah,
It looks like from the article that Irrational, Gearbox, and Insomniac are outside of this because they are all posting open positions. So I would assume that would mean they're not cutting back, at least not in the areas they're hiring, obviously, but they may be cutting back certain parts. But one of the things about developers is if there's not a game in active production, they don't carry a huge development staff.
Yeah, and that part makes sense. The EA obviously declined to say which teams were impacted or how many jobs were cut, but there's been sources that have said that the staff reduction could be as much as 10% of the company's workforce, and at the end of 2012, they had 9,370 people. So that's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of unemployment checks. So... apparently,
EA's reputation couldn't go down any further.
So, Candy, hang on. Let's hold off on the Candy Crush for just a moment.
Oh, just way to tease Melissa.
I
That was
know.
mean.
Well, Melissa, are you there?
Uh-oh. Did we lose Melissa?
No, you teased her with Candy Crush, and now she's hiding.
Now she's going to play.
Yeah, I
She's
think
probably playing it.
I believe she's just appeared for a moment, so we're going to come back on that. So we'll come back on Candy Crush because I definitely want to have her around on this one. So let's go to Dusk 514.
Dust.
Or Dust. Good Lord. I new tongue, new eyes. Dust 514 launching May 14th. Wait, Dust 514 is launching on 514?
I see what they did there.
Ah, yes. So Dust 514 is obviously from the EVE Online developers here. It's a PlayStation exclusive MMO, and we now know when it's actually coming out. Amber, I'm definitely interested to get your take on this one.
Yes. for the listeners who don't know, I do have a long running history with Eve. Started playing in 2005. And I have friends who work at CCP, the company that owns and runs it. And the word that I've heard from inside the company, they're very excited about it, and that they don't feel like it's going to be as much of a disappointment as a lot of the people who play Eve think it's going to be. Because within that gaming society, we've already had things like, oh, instead of having just an avatar, you're going to be able to walk around the station, and they implemented that, and it was stupid and useless and kind of like a disappointment. So a lot of people kind of came, they heard this whole dust thing is happening, and they automatically wrote it off, saying, you know what, it's going to be another disappointment. But I've actually heard the opposite, and my friends who are working in there are actually excited about this. So I'm excited about it. I think the whole idea of changing the planetscape, as it were, because when you're playing in Eve, you see planets. You don't actually see like actual buildings or civilizations or continents even. It's like they're just stars and planets drifting, and you never actually even like think about them being inhabited. You're mostly stuck in stations inside space, or out in space, I should say. So this whole idea of taking a planet and having it like a populated planet and being able to interact with that is really cool, and I'm excited to try it out. But I am a little annoyed that it's, PlayStation exclusive.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I know that they're still on the same servers as, well, at least their chat servers. The Dust people are on the same chat servers, but aren't they able to actually interact with the corpse and send like resources or something to them? Or isn't there some kind of interaction between the corpse in Eve and the people on the planets in Dust?
Yeah, like you can do coordinated attacks and everything. But I mean, the problem is like, say for instance, my alliance or my corporation has, okay, well, we'll say my alliance has like 3,000 people in it right now. Most of those people are going to be PC gamers. Of course, they'll probably have PlayStations also, but like their characters are all built up in Eve already, and to have that like trying to get them to work together, I don't know. It's gonna be a huge shift for the people who are already really into Eve. And I mean, these are people who have invested years and years and years and years. To like, I guess, give over, not control, but like leadership in some ways, because from what I've seen of Dust, like you're able to be on the planet and be like, hey, over here, come here, and I'm calling the shots, and you're going to destroy this, and you're going to do that, and the space ships do what they do in space with the hope of the people on the planet getting them the right intel. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I'm excited about it, but I was excited about a lot of things, and CCP is really hit and miss when it comes to doing major upgrades like this.
Well, we're certainly going to know more here in 2 weeks when it actually comes out, and then we'll go past the speculation point and actually get to see it.
It does sound like it has a lot of potential, but at the same time, I think Pat will probably get this reference. Why not just nuke the planet from orbit?
Because you can't just nuke a planet from orbit.
Okay, so we're gonna jump off of this here. There's a little bit of sad news from the world of Magic: The Gathering. Something near and dear to my heart. One of the original artists, Quentin Hoover, who has done a ton of classic iconic cards, including Ball Lightning, Earthbind, Hymn to Turok, Ivory Gargoyle, Vesuvan Doppelganger, and the original Wrath of God, actually died about a week ago at age 49. So, as a guy who's been a fan of his artwork, it's definitely been it's been something very sad to see that some of the original people, like, I know we were talking about the Gathering book, and I don't know whether or not he had been tapped for it, but might be hard now. So he passed away at 49. So let's go from death to Candy Crush.
Yeah, what kind of transition is that?
So
That's not so far away.
in an article from the Detroit News,
Yay!
the app of the week here is Candy Crush. 45.6 million players fall for Candy Crush.
Which every one of us in this are playing it in some manner.
Is there anyone here who has not played Candy Crush? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hey,
Well,
you know
I'm
what?
not playing it right now because I finished all the levels. I'm finished 300. Yep, I just completed level 305 over the weekend, and I'm currently waiting for the next update.
Dear God.
Oh my god.
How's that working for you? I think it lost me somewhere around 160 or 170. Though that's not to say I wouldn't pick it back up. It's rather addicting.
Yeah,
I'm just a
slightly.
baby. I'm like in my 30s still.
I'm on like 33 or something, and I'm already almost thrown my phone through a window 10 times.
Yeah, it's very
I had two.
it's very frustrating.
Have you begun to dream in Candy Crush yet, Pat?
No, don't.
The
I have enough
will
weird
get
dreams.
me. The
You'll get
chocolate will get me. It's coming.
Chocolate?
Yeah, it's
Chocolate.
funny.
Yes,
This
chocolate comes and gets you.
this free game, and we've talked about this before. This
game is not free.
this game is not free. I
It's
mean,
not free.
it depends. If you want to get anywhere, it's not free.
If you're Melissa Stern, it is not free.
It's frustrating. It preys upon the human emotion of frustration. You just
I have to admit something about this game. I had a lazy weekend. I caught up on some shows, and I played Candy Crush. So I have to admit, I did throw a little bit more money at it, and I must have played level 305 about 50 times. And I got to the end. I got so close, I just said, forget it, and I bought a couple of things, and I passed it. I couldn't take it anymore.
At a certain point, you're like, I've got to get past this level now.
I have to. But I knew there's nothing at the end because there weren't any more levels, but I didn't care. I had to pass it. I had to be done with it.
It was like a kidney stone.
Yes. Yes.
Eventually gets passed.
I find the whole Candy Crush thing very Pavlovian. You know, they start you out so easy, and they give you such great rewards, and they tell you how great you're doing, and you're just flying through levels. And then by the time you hit like 40 or 50, you're totally hooked, and you have to ring that bell, and you start drooling. And
Ding.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't even want to talk about this anymore because all of a sudden now
not.
I just want to pick up. I want to pick up my iPhone and start playing now. So let's.
I just did pick up my phone and start playing.
I'm mad at you guys for getting me to play this.
Scott got me on it. I had no idea what it was. Oh, play Candy Crush.
I never told you to play Candy Crush. I told you I was playing Candy Crush.
You told me to play it.
Okay, let's move on to something else I tried to get you to play, but didn't work nearly as well.
World of Warcraft?
BlizzCon 2013 tickets went on sale this last week, and they sold out in like 3 seconds. Or at least the queue was good in 3 seconds. And that's the way it always is. There were, like they did and I guess not last year, 2 years ago. There were 2 batches. I believe one went up on Wednesday, one up on Saturday. And if you weren't in the line, literally within the first couple of seconds, you just didn't get tickets.
That's crazy. So are they gonna have like outdoor tickets available?
Oh no,
Or-
no, they're sold out. It's time to hit eBay or StubHub if you want some tickets.
they're always scalpers.
Yeah, and there always are. I mean, I'll be honest. I've bought and sold tickets in the past. So people will do this, though. I really wonder how much margin can you get now. If I'm not mistaken, weren't the tickets $200 this year?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I believe they were. I think they were. Can anyone verify that? I think they were $200 a ticket.
Type in Google anybody but Amber because you'll hear it.
I'm staying as far away from my keyboard as I can.
Yes, we are. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Let's see.
Maybe they're 175.
Let's see what they are on eBay right now.
Just don't rent a football stadium and allow more people in.
BlizzCon ticket 2013 with goodie bag, $242 on eBay. Looks like there's more of them available for higher prices, but lowest end is about $220. Let's see what the actual price was.
No, they
keep talking.
No, they did not. They did not up their price this year. I just assumed that they were going to. They keep upping it $25 a year, but they were at $175 a piece. So I was one that has been a little outspoken that they need to do BlizzCon 3 days. They need to charge maybe a little bit less, but then make all the tickets one-day tickets. And that's it. You either can get in Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Let more people get in, because as a guy who's been to BlizzCon, like I think 3 times now, it's a zoo in there. It's an absolute freaking zoo. I never want to stand in line for anything because the lines are so long. Like, I want to get into the loot elemental. I might get something if I stand in line for 2+ hours. If I want to stand in line for 2 hours at something in Anaheim, California, I will go right down Harbor and go into Disneyland. Thank you very much. So,
well, and that's kind of the same concept for San Diego, is that I really want to go to San Diego Comic-Con, but do I really want to fight through all the crowds when I can go to 2 or 3 other smaller cons for half the price and see those same people? So
yeah, exactly. It's a little too nuts. Unfortunately, this is just too niche. I mean, it's very specific, and I mean, I guess if the model works, they're making money off of it. I still think, again, lower the price to say $125, $150, and then make them all one-day tickets. You're still going to sell out. You're going to make a lot more money doing that. But no one listens to me.
Even the people that are co-hosting your show.
Yeah, you guys don't even listen to me.
I'm sorry.
Was
Were you saying something?
Thank you. I love you all. How about we talk about the Xbox 720? Does that sound good?
Oh yeah, actually, I'm sorry. I'm very excited. Like, I'm interested in this whole DVR thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the Xbox 720 is supposed to have a DVR-like video capture. Now, they've discussed having this on the PlayStation 4, and it's somewhat confirmed but not announced that you will also be able to do this on the Xbox, where you'll be able to do things and it's going to record them and you'll be able to share them later, and even possibly the idea of things that automatically record, like headshots.
Boom.
And see, as someone who's like starting out as a Twitch broadcaster, should be up and running again soon now that I have the kick-ass computer. Thank you, Origin PCs. There is this whole idea about like being able to just have that content ready to upload that I think is a huge, very positive move on Xbox's part. I'm all for it, is what I'm saying.
Yes, but you realize that the moment people realize that they can record themselves doing things, Rule 32 comes into play, right?
Oh God, don't! Don't.
You are correct.
Yep.
Rule 32 always applies.
So, for our listeners who don't know what Rule 32 is, would someone like to inform?
No, it's probably best that they don't know.
I don't know what Rule 32 is.
All right, I'll explain it.
I don't know
32
rules 1 through 31 though. So.
No one knows rules 1 through 31, but 32 is fairly famous. Rule 32 of the internet states that if it's on the internet, it's been made into porn.
It's been made into porn.
Yes.
Yes.
The
So Mickey Mouse is somewhere on the internet. Rule 32.
The internet, if you will, is for porn. I once heard in a musical.
I heard that same musical.
That's a great musical.
Yes, it is. It is my favorite of all time.
And a great Warcraft video on YouTube.
It is. I saw that video before I ever saw the musical. So off of Rule 32 and on to, let's see, we talked some Xbox. Let's talk some Sony. So we've been talking a lot about cutting of jobs and bad profits, but Sony has actually doubled their annual profit expectation. Has a lot to do with the weakening performance of the yen, which has lost about 15% of its value against the dollar since 2012. But
PS4.
Yeah, anytime you could double your profit expectations, I'd say that's a pretty good sign.
No, I think it's huge. It's good. I say that for my friends who work for Sony. I'm excited about news like this whenever, of course you have people connected to that brand, but they were, I should say, I don't know if they still are, notorious for like hiring and laying off like nobody's business, like a few months and then you're gone sort of thing. So hopefully this stops that BS.
So Amber, you have friends that work for Sony?
Yes.
And Melissa has friends that work for EA. My friends just run a podcast.
Wait. Are we friends?
Oh, that's just mean.
Oh, that was me.
He said
cool.
podcast, not radio show.
Oh. Fair enough. Are you friends with him?
Sometimes.
I think we may have used to been. I don't know.
Depends on whether or not he's raid leading that night.
Nobody's friends when he's raid leading.
Okay, we're getting a little bit behind here on time, so we're going to kind of whip through the rest of this news real fast here. Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Legendary Edition has been confirmed. They had pretty much said that they weren't going to do anything else with this, and it doesn't really seem like they have. It looks like they've just basically packaged everything together with all the patches and the DLC and thrown it into one game.
Same thing they've done with every other Elder Scrolls in the history. So.
And that's not really surprising, seeing as how this is like the last one.
Yeah. So looks like June 7th is when that is supposed to come out. Speaking of things coming out very soon, Dragon's Maze for Magic the Gathering is coming out this weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit in the next segments. I'm not sure which segment we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about it because I know at least a couple of people on this show went to pre-releases this weekend. And last, but I don't know, is it least? Probably not. Steam has introduced game subscription plans. Is this a good idea?
Yeah, I'm on the fence about this. I mean, I like the idea of, Steam is a pretty good, it's turned out to be better than what it was supposed to be, I should say. Application, but like I don't know, like managing your subscriptions through Steam for various games like sounds like an easy way to do it, but it seems iffy to me. Like I don't know.
It's probably good for the independent developer who may not have a way to set up subscription fees and things like that, but still have a decent product for someone to subscribe to. And I like the idea that you could buy, say, a Steam game card and use it for 50 different places, all of which are on Steam.
Yeah, the launch title for the service is going to be Darkfall Unholy Wars, and there'll be additional subscription-based games to follow.
So what we can look forward to is more subscription-based games are going to start on Steam, and our gaming addictions are far from being helped.
So,
Steam, by definition, enables our gaming addictions.
I
It's
know.
the summer sale, just
Oh,
yeah,
always.
which is coming in a couple weeks, isn't it?
How many
That's
summers?
late summer.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a break at this point here. When we come back, we're going to just have ourselves a nice little roundtable discussion about gaming, like what kind of gamers we are, how do we get into gaming, what do we like about gaming. This is, I think this will be a very interesting conversation. You are listening to the Gamers Dome on the Drawing Board Radio Network. So my PS3 recently crashed, and I thought it was dead. I didn't want to buy a new one. Then I found out about Fusion Electronics over in Huntington Park. In just over an hour, they had it working perfectly again. I can't thank those guys enough. Don't trash your old system when it breaks. Take it to my friends over at Fusion Electronics. Free estimates, 90-day warranty on all their work, and if they can't fix it, there's no charge. Any modern gaming systems, iPhones, and more. Call them today at 323-972-3376 or email them at fusionrepairs@gmail.com. Again, 323-972-3376 or fusion with the Z repairs@gmail.com. You need it fixed, they've got you covered.
Attention techno fans, you're listening to Electromotion by Studiotronics, just one of the many exciting tracks from their album Straight from the Source. Stimulate your brain and get your body moving to these high energy cuts. Also, check out their newest single available for download, Electro. Don't just sit there, get your fix for Studiotronics. Now available on iTunes, Amazon.com, and CDBaby.com. Are you looking for Magic the Gathering singles? Shuffle and Cut Games' friendly staff has provided gamers one of the internet's biggest selections of singles since 2000. And if you have extra cards you don't need anymore, Shuffle and Cut Games has one of the most extensive buy lists around, paying top dollar for your unwanted cards. If you live near our La Habra, California location, come down and play in our weekly Friday night Magic tournaments. For more info, visit shuffleandcut.com. That's shuffleandcut.com. Shuffle and Cut Games, your source for Magic the Gathering.
Welcome back to the Gamers Dome. So, what I would like to do at this point is I'd like to have ourselves a nice little discussion about gaming in general, because everyone who is here right now in some form or fashion is a gamer. Now, some of us are more hardcore than others, but gamers come in all shapes and sizes, and we definitely have a very good cross-section of that represented here. So,
Me.
so let's. I'm going to start this thing off a little bit here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my roots, like what got me into gaming. I can tell you that I've been a gamer most of my life, in some form or fashion. I've always been extremely competitive, and I remember even playing games of like Rummikub back when I was in high school, and some of these games would get extremely competitive. I remember my the very first girlfriend I ever had, I used to play with her family, and it was her mom and her dad and her and me, and these games would get like downright ugly, but ugly in a really, really fun, good way. And it just kind of brought out that competitive spirit in me. My parents were very supportive of gaming when I was younger. I had an Intellivision. Oh, yeah. I had an Intellivision when I was like 4 years old or 5 or something like that, and always had gaming systems throughout the house, and I've played them my entire life, and then eventually got a little too old for them and got in. Well, not that you ever really get too old for them, but I lost interest, I guess, as I got into college and got into things like Magic the Gathering and eventually got into a bunch of card gaming, and then as I owned a store, certainly you get exposed to a wide cross-section of everything from board games to card games and dice games, and basically everything that I like to talk about on this show. So I guess I've been one of those gamers that a bred gamer, if you will, nearly from birth. But I know not necessarily all of us have gone down that path. Let's see. I'm going to pick someone here. Let's start with Pat. Pat, tell us a little bit about you in gaming and how did you get into it?
Please don't die.
Yeah, Shawn. Pat?
Dang it. It helps if I turn the mic back on after a commercial break. I was so concerned about Shawn. I was like,
And Pat, also tell us, while you're in there, tell us a little bit more about your podcast as well. I know we're going to hear your voice in the next commercial break, but I want to hear a little bit more from you on a live thing, and tell us more about how gaming and nerd culture, etc., has brought you to where you are.
It's been a long and winding journey for me. I've always been more of a hardcore game. I don't want to say hardcore, but I've always been more in the gamer side of it. Starting out with an Atari 2600 when I was little bit. I mean, I think I was 3 or 4 years old, and I had an Atari 2600 because we ended up having an NES in like '86, which would put me about 6. So I mean, it's I've been playing games forever, and RPGs have always pulled me in. I dabbled in D&D, and I dabbled in some of the tabletop stuff, but it's mostly been the console games. I've been more of a console gamer. So, Final Fantasy 2 and 3, 4 and 6, however you want to call them, for the Super Nintendo, they had me hooked. And that was kind of the thing from there forward, that I was going to be a gamer. So, but it's always been something there. Worked in video game store, did all these things, and it was just always a lot of fun to do things. And, so now it's, going forward, I started getting back into comic books, and then I have all these friends that are doing these great creative things around here. And I finally said, well, what can I do? I'm not talented as an artist. I'm not really a writer. I don't have this. And I kind of settled on doing something in the podcast and promoting my friends, promoting the things that they're doing, and really getting into that. So that was a lot of where that came from. Was I kind of wanted to tell people, about the people around us, and just share my take on the things of the day. So, I mean, we get through, and we've had a long hiatus because I've been starting a new job and everything, and crazy life. But it's something I just decided to do about a year ago, and it's been a lot of fun. And we've got a couple of things scheduled for this year to do some live events, and hopefully digital nerdage is on the rise.
Yeah, I love the show. I love the podcast. Everyone, when you're done listening to us, you definitely should listen to Pat's show. And Pat, when you got to bring me on at some point. I want to be on your show.
You know what? And that's on the slate. And honestly, from what I have, the schedule is packed. We actually have a big, special that's going to come out in June. I think is probably when we're going to do it. We're doing, it's always, Melissa and Amber can probably attest to this as well. There's a stigma attached to girls and nerd culture. Even to this day, girls aren't truly accepted in nerd culture. I've got, quite a few women that are going to join us and give their take on it and do a nice big roundtable like this and talk about it from all over the country. I've got about 4 different people, and I may try and pull a big guest if I can work the connection correctly. I may have a big guest, but I don't want to say the name.
Fair enough. I don't know. I don't like.
He's talking about me, you guys.
Bam!
Come on.
Okay, so let's move over here to someone who I know is probably the smallest gamer in this group, but definitely someone who has been exposed into the gaming community a little bit and has found her own little niche within it. Melissa?
Yes.
So I know that a lot of your involvement with the Gamers Dome has certainly been because you are a friend of mine. And for those of you who don't know, Melissa works a lot behind the scenes. She does a lot with the marketing behind the game and helping with its are behind the show and its development and ideas how to move forward, and sometimes from a somewhat non-gamer perspective, which is something that we definitely need. But certainly I know over the course of the show and dealing with it, we've sucked you in a little bit into here. So what are the types of things that you seem to enjoy within gaming?
Well, I started thinking about that question as Pat was answering it, and I started thinking back to my childhood. And I had Atari. My brother and I had all the different Nintendos. I don't even know what all they are. Super NES and all of those. I remember playing Super Mario 3 with my brother, and we'd fight over whose turn it was and just all sorts of stuff. But I never really considered myself a gamer. To me, just it had a stigma. I don't consider myself a gamer. I mean, I do play the Zynga games. I play Words with Friends, Hanging with Friends, Dice with Buddies. I play that stuff and this god-awful Candy Crush game. But I don't know. I don't consider myself a gamer. I mean, I'm looking at my phone right here, and I do have a bunch of games on here that I do like to play, but I mean, it's more stuff to entertain myself.
Well,
I don't...
It's interesting because you're kind of what I feel like is becoming the new generation of gamer that has been brought about by things like mobile phones and platforms becoming a lot more accessible to people. And this is happening a lot. I mean, used to be like your gamers were your 18 or not even 18, like 14 to 25-year-old males who, I mean, there's a reason the stereotype of gamers living down in the basement and drinking Mountain Dew has always existed, because that's what it used to be. But really these days, and it's funny because we had Boyan Radakovich on episode 7, and he really talked about this, about where we are with gaming culture these days. And it used to be this thing that had this horrible stigma attached with it, and it just really doesn't anymore. When you hear people talk about, hey, yeah, I'm a gamer, I mean, I play games on my phone, I play them on Facebook, I might play the occasional like PC or something like that. It's not hardcore, just a little bit. It's like you're the new type of actual gamer within this. And I think it's amazing that we're getting some people who maybe never really played games before. And I also find this interesting because I happen to know that everyone in this roundtable discussion is probably within about 4 years of each other. I think I'm the oldest in this group, and I think Pat's actually the youngest in this group. But Pat, you're what, 32, 33?
33. Really? I'm the youngest in the group? Holy cow.
Yeah, you're the youngest at 33, and I'm the oldest at 36. So we're all kind of in this same area where we've all kind of grown up with the same things and how we've ended up where we are now. And it's interesting because all of us have lived in a time frame that video games have always existed. But you know what? Even a lot of gamers, I'm seeing a lot of gamers come in over the age of 50 at this point, because so much stuff is accessible between phones and Facebook, and they're getting a chance to do stuff that maybe they hadn't done. And really, if you add just 5 to 7 years to our generation and look at those people, you have a generation of people that maybe don't really do much in the way of video gaming because they never really were exposed to it much as a child.
Angry Birds, shooting small birds over the gap.
Yeah, I play Angry Birds too.
See, the more you think about it, the more you realize you really are kind of a gamer, and it's not just a gamer in the old 1980s. I hang out in my basement and play Dungeons and Dragons sort of.
See, to me, that's what being a quote gamer always was. Somebody who played Dungeons and Dragons in high school. They were out in the parking lot in the corner at lunch playing Dungeons and Dragons, or they played. Yeah, or they played World of Warcraft, or Magic, dare I say it, or just all this kind of stuff that I had absolutely no idea about. And I guess, yeah, I'm seeing the point where I have a different level of gaming than other people, but it's just, I don't know, I still feel more like a gamer by association.
Well, a little bit. I mean, think about it. Let me reframe this a little bit here, Melissa. I know that you are a kickball player, and you are a big kickball player. This is like one of the major things in your life. Well, what about that person who maybe just joins a league, has been doing it for, I don't know, just a few months, but I mean, they're still a kickballer, right?
Yeah, once you're kickball, you're kickball.
Exactly.
It's like a fraternity.
It really is. So there's definitely various levels of involvement. I know your involvement is pretty high, but
Yes.
it's the same thing with gaming, is that you're going to have some gamers who are really into gaming and some who just do it more on a casual basis. And that's part of what we're trying to eliminate, is the stigma that comes with being a gamer, if you will.
And I absolutely never would have looked at it from that point of view until you just enlightened me on this whole subject of gaming in the past few months. It wasn't a subject that I was concerned with. I have my iPhone, I play my little Words with Friends games, and I go along with my day. To me, being a gamer was not, it just wasn't a topic that I had any interest in. And then definitely getting involved with the show really has made me look at all of this completely differently, about how it's just, it's so, I don't even know. It's so weird. I know going to that conference with you, there were so many people, and people were all into it and had been for years, and it was really strange to me, to be honest.
And it wasn't people that you would look at and just instantly think, oh, that's a gamer. I mean, there were a lot of very normal people. So I want to make. Yeah, I'm not saying
I wouldn't go that.
I'm
far.
not saying that there weren't some very traditional looking gamers at the Gamma conference in Vegas,
and that's being polite.
But there definitely were some people that if you just came up to them on the street, you wouldn't know. We need to move on because I want to make sure we're getting to everyone. Shawn, I know you have been doing a lot of this stuff for many years. Enlighten us as to your path to gamerdom.
Way before Atari made a 2600, Texas Instruments, the calculator company, they made a computer, and I played computer games on that. We stored them on cassette tapes because there were no hard drives and there were no disk drives. So you played it out to a cassette tape, and then you played the cassette tape back to the computer to load your file. That's how ancient gaming was.
Were you occasionally concerned that a brontosaurus would come and eat your cassette tape?
No, but if the gerbil died, then we had to get a whole new power source.
I will say I had one of those as well. I probably, Shawn probably had the first edition that still, it had the big, 6-inch, reel-to-reel thing for it. But I had one of those too. I used the TI-85 or something it was. I can't remember the number.
I used them as well, and I really should, since I've already dated myself as the oldest member of this bunch, I shouldn't make too many brontosaurus jokes. Please continue, Shawn.
Scott, I'm 36 as well.
Yeah, you're 36, but you're about 6 months younger than I am.
Yep.
And I'm 36.
Oh, hey, so Pat really is the young'un here.
This is a rare occasion. I'm always the old man. Always.
In my household, Pat, you would be playing Luigi. Yeah, because,
well, what Scott hasn't mentioned is that he's turning 37. So he's only got a couple more months.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, wait, you only have one more month.
Yeah, I got about a month or so.
Yeah, so don't be throwing all of us under the bus.
Yeah. Pat would be playing Luigi because, older brothers always got Mario. And so, Nintendo's, computers all throughout my life. My dad always kept us well stocked. And so, let's see, high school, I was the president of the role-playing and games club.
Nice.
Nerdum, I was king of the nerds. But I was a man ahead of my time. I read Spider-Man long before the movie came out. And I read Lord of the Rings long before it became a multi-billion-dollar franchise with toys. And, just a man ahead of my time.
The toys for Lord of the Rings actually kind of depress me, but that's a side subject.
Oh, the Lego ones are cute. You gotta admit,
yes.
Lego ones are brilliant.
Everything Lego is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
got out of high school, got into programming, and I've programmed for MMOs, and I've programmed for standalone games, and then to pay the bills, I actually did some programming for game stores and other places, website development, databases, the whole works. So I've been in the development end of it. I've done artwork for games. I've done programming for games. I've known gamers. And nowadays I am back to raid leading. I walked in to a brand new guild, and the very first night we go into a raid, and the guild leader says, okay, who can lead this thing? And here I am trying to be very quiet, trying not to get myself messed up into this, and my wife pipes up, oh, don't worry, Shawn can do it.
Bum, bum, bum,
And I've
bum.
been the official raid leader for the guild ever since.
Nice.
Never escape.
Okay, so I've intentionally left Amber for last because there is, and we have discussed the stigma about girls in gaming. And Amber, I know, is a gamer just like any guy I know, and probably more hardcore than a lot of guys that I know. So, Amber, I'm very interested to hear about your story into all of this.
Okay, well, I can start off by telling you I still have my Intellivision 2, not the first one, but the Intellivision 2 was about...
You don't have the first one? I can show you mine.
Well, that's fine.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
I still have mine.
Okay, guys.
Now, this is the one with the keypad that looks like a phone, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a phone. Like, it has the numbers, and you put the cards in for
Those
whatever.
cards were terrible. You just had to memorize the buttons because they were awful.
Yeah. Okay, so anyways, back to me, guys. Jeez.
It's all about you.
I still have our Intellivision with I think 30 to 35 games still, and fixed it. There's something had gone wrong, but we went in, we fixed it. It's working again, and I actually played it about 3 years ago. Like, got to go through and relive them all. Our Atari was also a family heirloom that has been taken by my brother's terrible roommates. Basically, the moral of this story is my father brought video games into our lives. We played games constantly before that, even before video games. We would play dice games and card games and board games. It was just like a family staple. But when I got into my 20s, I started, I found myself in a job. I won't go into the whole story. Basically, I found myself a job in the game industry. And from there, it was like all of a sudden I had this freedom to play the games that I mean, like me and my brother used to pretend we were sick at the same time so that we could beat Life Force in one day on the NES. And, like, these are my fondest childhood memories. But, like, once I was in the game industry, it was all of a sudden like this freedom of, oh my God, I have access to all this stuff. Because when you're working for a game a game company, usually they have like the older consoles and all sorts of games. You can go back and play them, and then you're testing the new stuff, and you got to, give your reviews on different things, and it was just like all of a sudden I was unleashed, and that's pretty much where I went crazy. And I started playing Counter-Strike was probably my first competitive game and I played. I was Cal main, which is Cyber Athletic League. I was main, so I was not the highest because I believe it's like Cal Invitational is the highest, but there it goes Cal Open, Cal Main, Cal Professional, Cal Invitational, and I was Cal Main. So we're competing in the tournament where you have to like kind of make a certain level to get into. So I like to do the headshots with my Glock, and that was fun. I did that for a while, and then all of a sudden MMOs came up, and all of our Counter-Strike team got lost into WoW, and I was like, I had this anger against WoW for just disrupting that, and I went a different way and went into EVE. And through EVE, I got to play the girl card in a very fun way, because a lot of people, a lot of the gamers are trusting, naive. I don't know how to explain it, but I basically spied for my corporation and got into enemy corporations and got secrets and destroyed them from within.
So what you're saying is they're teenage boys.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know if naive. I'm thinking there's an H word that might be applicable to these gamer guys.
Absolutely not, because I actually found out that a few of the leaders were a little older than me, and we actually had real life connections because of the companies that we worked for. Even though they were in another country, we had like real life connections, and I had my hidden identity, but I knew who they were, and no, it had nothing to do with age, honestly.
Well, they don't have to be teenage boys to be a little on the horn dog side.
Yeah, maybe the naive one was Amber in thinking that it wasn't because she had parts that guys don't.
I wasn't naive. Are you kidding me? That's how I got into their guild. Their corporation. I made up a story saying that my ex-boyfriend deleted my previous character when I broke up with him, and then they felt bad for me, and they brought me in, and then I took them down. And then when it happened, they said, we have a spy in our network, and I'm like, who is it? Where do I need to move my stuff? I'm still playing the girl, and they actually told me on TeamSpeak, you know there's a spy. It's not you, because you're a girl.
I've always thought that if you could be a good girl player, that you just inherently have an advantage over these like guys that have two heads but only enough blood to fuel one of them at a time.
But that's the thing. There's an advantage, but there's also a disadvantage, because you get taken for as like if you're in WoW, you're expected to be a healer. I mean, it's bullshit like that. Like that, you can't be taken seriously to a degree, and in some ways that can work for you. Like if you want to be, evil like me, and take people down, destroy 5 years of their in-game life and assets.
I think that's the worst thing is that you did this in EVE, where there's like a monetary conversion rate,
Yes. And on that last TeamSpeak session I had, when they told me, we know it couldn't be you because you're a girl, my last words to them was, tee-hee-hee, and then I signed off, and they immediately banned me from the forums and everything. But that was 5 years of them building up their assets in game, and they let all that security go because it was a girl on the internet. But at the same time, if I go into another corporation and I say, look, I have experience of being a fleet commander, and I can be a director, and I can delegate and everything, they're like, oh honey, it's okay, you can maybe moderate the forums over here.
Well, this has been an awesome discussion. I really love this. I wish we had more time. we're going to move on at this point, and when we come back, we're going to do our Kickstarter of the week. We'll talk a little bit about what we're playing. Shawn and I will discuss Dragon's Maze pre-release a little bit and wrap everything up. You are listening to the Gamers Dome on the Drawing Board Radio Network. Do you need professional, reliable dog walkers, house sitters, or cageless in-home boarding? Check out my friends over at Leash and Lodge. They use GPS tracking for their walks, so you know they're always showing up when they say they do. With a 5-star Yelp average, they're the only guys you need to know. When you sign up, mention promo code DOME to get $15 off your first invoice. Check them out now at leashandlodge.com. That's leash, A-N-D, lodge.com. Leash and Lodge, because the better way is finally here.
Do you have a bookshelf full of comic books right next to the one full of video games? Are you a Whovian? A Trekkie? Do you aim to misbehave? Are you friends with Leonard and Sheldon? Do you tabletop with Will? If you answered yes to any of these, I have a new podcast for you. Digital Nerdage, the nerd culture podcast, visits everything in the world of nerd. Check it out at www.digitalnerdage.com.
Attention Magic the Gathering players. 10 Packs is a strategy guide aimed at teaching beginner and intermediate players how to approach the Gatecrash Booster Draft format through the eyes of 4 of the world's greatest players. They include Pro Tour champion Luis Scott Vargas, Pro Tour top 8er Melissa De Tora, Magic Hall of Famer Raphael Levy, and Pro Tour Gatecrash champion Tom Martell. Each pro examines 10 packs of Gatecrash as if they were the first packs opened in a high-level competition. They weigh the merits of each card, giving explanations as to why they'd pick a particular card over the others. They detail various draft archetypes in the set, and in many cases discuss the general draft strategies underlying their respective decisions. In Part 1, each author examines the same 5 packs, giving the reader their in-depth analysis of each pack. In Part 2, the authors each examine 5 unique packs on their own, giving the reader a grand total of 25 Gatecrash booster packs reviewed. Their professional insights will give you the knowledge you need to elevate your drafting abilities to the next level. 10 Packs is only $7.99 and available now in the Amazon bookstore. Just search the store for 10 Packs and check it out now.
Welcome back to the Gamers Dome. So,
Well, what was that? Were we calling someone?
I might be calling someone, yes, at the moment. I might have actually forgotten that I was supposed to do that during the commercial break, and so we are calling him now. So, what we're going to be doing here is we're actually going to be talking about our Kickstarter of the week. Our Kickstarter of the week is called Playing Tokens by All the Kings Games, and I could sit here and I could tell you about this, or at this time I could bring on our guest. His name is Kevin Greenberg, and Kevin, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about Playing Tokens. Oh.
Please?
Fail? Kevin? Wait, hang on. Kevin?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it would help if I pushed the right buttons. Yay!
Okay.
I was about to pretend I was Kevin.
No, I just hit the wrong buttons because
No problem.
I'm retarded. So yeah, Kevin, tell us a little bit about Playing Tokens real fast.
Okay, well, really it can be used for 2 types of things. First of all, I came up with, invented a series of games to go along with the Playing Tokens, which include a rummy or poker-style fast visual recognition game. You basically, you'd be the first to spot a poker hand. Or you can make there's a fast-paced poker-style mill-making game. And there's even a game that you can play along with a deck of cards with them. And then there's the other thing it could be used for is just a custom design chips used for scoring chips or other types of playing chips for other games. And believe it or not, I've received some really good feedback from some of my current Kickstarter backers about it. They can use it for such role-playing games, certain role-playing games, such as the popular game out there, Savage Worlds, that uses like poker cards for dealing and drawing initiative order, as well as some other mechanics are uses. And I've been told that the tokens would be much better, can replace the cards because they're more versatile. You can like draw from a bag, shake up the bag, draw them from a bag, instead of having to shuffle the cards and deal out cards, such.
Yeah, I actually saw these and I got very kind of excited about the idea of possibly being able to even just play traditional poker games without having to deal with shuffling. You just throw everything in a bag and dig them out. It sounds awesome.
Right, and then you just look at your chips and do the same old thing as poker, yeah. Or you can play other games, hearts, crazy eights, whatever you like.
So is this your first Kickstarter?
No, actually, it's my second Kickstarter. My first Kickstarter was a game called Wild Guess Chase, the fast-guessing word game. It's one of 4 games that my wife and I currently have in our game company. Our game company is called All the King's Games. And we have 4 current games on the market right now. And been inventing games since I was a kid, and so I just love making games. I love to sit around. It's kind of like a hobby, Some people like to go fishing, and play tennis or whatever, and I like to sit around inventing games.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Well, first of all, before I ask you, if I'm assuming people can go to allthekingsgames.com and learn more about your games?
Yes, definitely. Allthekingsgames.com.
Wonderful. So
all 4 of our games are on there, and this obviously Playing Tokens is not on there because it's a Kickstarter project. So
how long have you actually been inventing games?
Just since I was a boy. I mean, I used to actually, take out poster board, buy a poster board, cut them up, make my own game boards and game cards, invite my buddies over and play games, and they'd play my games. It was I just always been doing that.
No.
So with the encouragement of my wife, a couple years ago, I finally got my own game company. So
that's awesome. I'm sitting here looking at the website right now and the various games that you've got up there, and they look very neat and interesting. I'd love to get my hands on some of them and actually like try them and review them because they look like they're just a ton of fun.
Yeah, they are fun, and they've received very good feedback. They actually were shown. 2 of the games, Word Zeki and Wild Guess Chase, was shown at the Toy Fair, in the big Toy Fair in New York every February. And so, a really good reception there. So, yeah, we're slowly but surely getting there. But we're trying to raise some money, more money. So, here or there. So.
Oh yeah, well I mean certainly Kickstarter is a great way of going, and I've looked over some of the rewards, and it's pretty awesome to be able to get these full sets of the chips, and I mean this just it looks awesome. I mean I love the idea. I love the idea in
really
general.
Excited about it.
And then what you've been able to do with that idea, you're not just producing this and saying, "Oh, go do what you want with it." You can, but I love the fact that you've come up with all of these versions as well.
Right. So yeah, it comes along with games, or you can use it in your own games, however you like.
Wonderful.
And yeah, I'm really excited about the idea, and I'm just trying to get some more backers on there. People to know about it, just get it out there, made known.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you've gotten about 15% of your goal so far, but you've still got about 5 weeks. So, guys, certainly give them a check out here on Kickstarter. We're going to post up a link into the Facebook page as well. It's called Playing Tokens by All the King's Games. So,
hey Scott, before we let Kevin go,
here's
one quick question. Kevin, are you doing any of the gaming conventions that are out there, or anything that you're going to be demoing your games at?
Yes, well, we have, like I was just mentioning, we were at Toy Fair recently, and we were at, I don't know if you're familiar with ASTRA, the American Specialty Toy Retailer Association.
I can't say
we're going to be at the show in June coming up here in Nashville. It's probably the second biggest toy show next to the Toy Fair. I haven't signed up for any Comic-Con or anything like that yet, but
okay. Well, definitely.
Yeah, but we're planning on it.
Excellent. So everyone, make sure that you check this out. This looks like just one of the really cool, neat projects out there. The rewards are certainly giving them to you at, I'm sure, a price that you will be better than once they're actually produced. And it looks like you're looking to have it out before the year's end.
Yeah, before the year's end, and I want to make sure that any Kickstarter backer, they're the first to have them in their hands.
Yeah, well, these
before I actually try to put them on the market. So
yeah, they look really cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on here and talking about.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Hopefully, we get a few people here to get on there and get some money into the project.
Yeah, I thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you talking. Having me on.
Okay. Have a great evening.
All right. Yeah, you too. Take care.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so again, it's Playing Tokens by All the Kings Games on Kickstarter. And one other one that I want to mention just real fast here, because it's one that we've had on before, is Camelot Unchained by City State Entertainment. This was the one that was looking for $2 million and has raised about 1.7 so far.
They're so close.
I know, we're getting really close, but there's only 36 hours left. So, guys, if you were waiting to the last minute, you're pretty much there. This is where we've got to try to get that push. They need just a little more than 200,000 left. They're got 90%. So, a big push here. I mean, anything's going to help. Let's get them over their goal to get this one produced as well.
I'll start digging my couch and see if I've got a cool 200,000 in it.
Yeah. So, what's everyone playing? Melissa, what are you playing?
I bet I know the answer.
Melissa.
Oh, sorry. I had it on mute. What am I playing?
What have you been playing?
Candy Crush. Matching with friends. Words with friends. Hanging with friends. Dice with buddies.
I felt like I had to ask you that question, even though I had a feeling I knew the answer.
Yeah, I don't know why you bought it.
But really, these are some of the staples. These are some of the games that really, if you're not playing them, you really should be, because they're great games. And every game that she just mentioned, I have on my phone, and I play, I should be playing them more regularly, but...
and Candy Crush is becoming more popular. I currently have 41 emails of people sending me lives right now. So if I had levels to play...
Yeah.
It could be me.
So, Pat, what have you been playing?
I've been on the new Luigi's Mansion game for the 3DS.
Nice.
Great callback to the original. I mean, they've added a few little things, a couple little, here, collect this item type things, and they've made it more of a level-by-level structure. But honestly, it's really similar to the original game, and it's a ton of fun.
Amber, what have you been playing?
I know it's a stretch, guys, but
no.
I've been playing a little bit of Minecraft.
No.
I know.
No. Oh,
I
wait,
know.
come on.
That's Minecraft.
No, don't even, Shawn. But I've been building stuff up, and I've started bringing new people to our servers, so that's been exciting. Also, now I'm playing Candy Crush.
It's addicting. It's just an addicting game.
I'm literally playing Candy Crush right now.
I was playing it earlier.
If I wasn't trying to moderate some roundtable discussion here, I'd probably be playing it myself.
Well, you don't even know how to click the right buttons anyway, so I mean, you're obviously not doing a good job at that either.
Oh, ouch.
Kevin, why can't I hear Kevin? Kevin!
Well, the reason he couldn't hear Kevin is because he had to break the chocolate. I mean, sheesh.
Ha ha ha. Okay,
So yeah,
Shawn,
Minecraft.
go ahead.
I said Minecraft and that, and I started out on a little BioShock Infinite, but I feel like since I've watched so many streams of it, I don't really have the drive to finish it at this point.
So, Shawn, I have left you for last intentionally here because I know you've been playing some World of Warcraft. You know what? I'm going to let you. I'm going to ask you if there's anything besides what you know I'm going to ask you about and World of Warcraft that you've been playing.
Actually, I was in a raid right before I came here. I had to ditch the raid to log on to Skype, but I actually have a few different games for you this week that may not have heard of before.
Oh.
First of all, the Logo game.
I love
found
the
on
Logo
Facebook.
game.
Logo game is great. Basically, they give you incomplete corporate logos, and they challenge you to type in what they are. Everything from hotels to Pepsi to different McAfee, different logos out there that are recognizable. Different types of cars, of course, Ford, Mazda, etc. And I think I have somewhere around 400 to 500 identified, and there are still another 1,000 to 2,000 that I haven't gotten to yet. Great game.
Wow.
Very casual. The second one, Disney has a game out called Words of Wonder, which is sort of a Boggle type. They give you a board of letters, and you have to find words throughout it. Of course, certain word tiles are sitting on oil, and you have to get rid of all the oil, or you have to break blocks multiple times by matching words next to it. All the standard stuff that you'll find in Candy Crush, but with words. And then, of course, Warcraft, naturally.
And I know we were doing some of the same thing over the weekend. We were at some respective Dragon's Maze Magic the Gathering pre-releases.
And last but certainly not least, definitely been playing some Magic.
So tell me about your pre-release experience. So for those of you Magic players out there, if you've never gone to a pre-release, these things are just fun. I mean, this for me is what Magic is all about. It's just the fun aspect of it. And so I want to hear about your experience.
Well, first of all, for those of you who have ever tried to dabble into Magic, what you'll find is you have these power players who have these $5,000 decks with every single rare card stacked inside it, and they just beat you with 3 cards every single time. Well, in a pre-release environment, they can't use any of those cards. These are the cards that will be out next week. They're not legal even for play this week. And everyone is given a set of 5 packs of these cards, and you have to build your deck sitting right there from these 5 packs. So it's really a great equalizer when you're talking about a game which brings out a lot of competitive play, not necessarily who can buy the best deck. There's a small amount of luck in there too. I mean, there is certainly a random factor as to what cards you get and which cards you put in, but in the end, it's an extremely competitive, highly skilled environment. I played 2 pre-releases this weekend. First day had a field of around 20, and I took 5th. Did okay with a green, black, and white deck. Basically just built a whole ton of creature destruction and allowed my guys to get through. Real simple deck, no real power cards in it. The power cards that I got out of my packs just didn't fit the colors that I liked. So, I tossed them, played with the common stuff, and pulled out a 5th place.
Nice.
Day 2, picked some different colors, went what's called Orzhov, which is black and white, and ended up with a few nice cards, Obsidat Ghost Council, Mauve Obsidat, a couple of fun ones. And so when I was asked what I was playing, I didn't tell them I was playing Orzhov. I just said I was playing Obsidat, which was extremely descriptive for the deck that I was playing. And Magic people know what I'm talking about. The rest of you people may be lost, but Magic people know what I'm talking about. Day 2, I took 4th.
Nice.
With about $30 worth in cards.
Nice.
Yeah, card packs. And had a lot of fun. You're right. It is an extremely fun environment.
Yeah, it's for me. It's one of those things that reminds me about why I'm a Magic player. I played 2 sealeds both on Saturday. The first one I went Is It, and I just opened the worst Is It deck ever, and I went 2-2 and was pretty lucky to have scraped out a 2-2. I mean, I just didn't have win conditions. It was awful. And on the second one, I went
I'm sorry, did you say you were wearing a tutu?
A little bit. The second one, I played Rakdos, and I got a Dimir Secret Ally. And that one, I was able to pull out a 4-0, and I actually won that tournament. So, yay, I got a bunch of packs from that. And then we actually did a draft afterwards, a little 8-man block draft, and I actually won that draft as well. And you know what? Showing up to Thou Shalt game in Temecula, California, I've got to always give them a plug because they are awesome. Showing up there at like 11:30 in the morning and not leaving until 3:30 a.m., 16 hours straight at that store, reminded me what I just love about the game. I mean, MTGO is great. It's fun to play online, but man, just those interactions where you sit there, and on MTGO, you can't just pound your deck and rip the card out and then just like stand up and do a dance because you just got what you needed. So it is a very social game, and I've got to direct everyone here because we're doing this Inside the Gamers Dome now, where we've got all of the major players from the Gamers Dome all assembled here on this one show. Well, if you want to get inside the Gamers Dome a little bit here and see what it's like, if you go to our YouTube channel, and if you're on our webpage, you'll see there's a YouTube link. Click on it. I actually did videos of every single game that I played from the 2 sealed decks this weekend, and you can actually watch me play. In the first tournament, you can watch me pretty much get my ass kicked a lot. And in the second tournament, it was a little bit of reversal of fortune. I did more of the kicking myself. But some of you might find it interesting to see the perspective of what it's like. Because if you've never been to a tournament, it might seem intimidating. And I can tell you, I played against people of all shapes and sizes. I played against the 6th grader at one point. So if a 6th grader can get in there and play these tournaments, you have no excuse.
Well, I have an excuse, but
because you don't know how to play Magic yet.
yes, exactly.
Yet. No.
Magic is one of the games which are really easy to pick up if you're given the right deck. There are some very basic concepts, just like chess, that you can pick up right away. But the complexities, as you begin to add more and more cards and begin to add more and more strategies to it, really ramps up the environment very quickly.
And Melissa, I can tell you, in June, they are doing Grand Prix Las Vegas. And that's going to be one hell of a tournament. And I may be dragging you to it. You've got to see this.
Well, I'll go hang out with Amber while she's there.
Yeah, I think we'll have a pool party.
No. I'm dragging you guys. I'm dragging you out there. But speaking of Grand Prix that if you're not already going to, you need to. Grand Prix Portland. I've got to mention this one more time because Grand Prix Portland is coming up shortly here. It's going to be not this weekend, but next weekend in Portland. There's still plenty of cheap flights available up to Portland. This is one of the last modern tournaments that's out there. Guys, Sign in Blood is going to be giving away 200 life pads. This is the event to go to on the West Coast. If you haven't already booked, you need to book. You need to go. It's going to be an incredible event. So Final thoughts. Does anybody have any final thoughts here?
This has been really fun.
Yeah, I love that we did the round table. I mean, it's about time we all got to sit around and BS.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this format a lot.
These are honestly some of the most fun you'll always have, and that's something I noticed in doing the podcast myself. Is the couple of roundtables we've had, it's like, wait a minute, why can't they all be like that?
And just to note, this was scheduled to be about a 45-minute show. Like I slated this to be about a 45-minute show, and we have doubled that. We've done an hour and a half, and it's not felt like it at all.
No.
I looked at the clock and I'm like, it's 11:30. Obviously, I'm East Coast, so.
Okay, so next week on the show, we are going to have one of the guys who knows more about trading card game financials than anyone else probably on the planet. Guy by the name of Dan Bach. If you don't know the name, you should research it. This guy is one of the most knowledgeable people you'll ever get when it comes to the finances behind card games, and we're going to hear about when a set like Dragon's Maze comes out. What does he do, and what types of things has he done to be as successful as he has in this industry? And thank you to all of my sponsors. We always love you, and thank you for being on the show. So, for the Gamers Dome, once again in alphabetical order, we have
Amber.
Next.
Oh, Melissa.
Pat.
And Shawn, the Web Monkey.
And I am Scott Gerhardt. So until next week at Tuesday at 7 p.m., I remind you all to keep playing. Bye for now.